Well, let me just start out with this and just tell you that everything on, besides being on the major media being a psych-op, everything on the alternative media is a psych-op, except this channel. I tell you, I'm probably one of the, well, not too many channels out there that are not part of the psych-op apparatus. Um, just bringing that out because everybody's being played and a lot of time is being wasted just following, back and forth between who's going to win the election. Blah, yeah, I don't know about that. Well, let me just tell you, even though, there's a lot of problems going on in the economy, a lot of people that are in important positions are admitting there's problems going on, like Bill Gross. He says that the central banks have turned the economy into a casino. And this might be our new mode of transportation in the future sometime as things actually start turning down. Now, I don't think it's going to get that bad, really, if you're well prepared. Um, because if you're I don't want to call it a prepper, but like you're a DIYer, like a tool time guy or something like that. I mean, whatever you want to call it, you're going to be fine. All right. Another thing that's coming up too is like the restaurants are showing signs where people aren't going out to eat as much, which means they don't have as much disposable income. Also, seen a little more blips in the oil prices going up a little more, which means there's a little less net disposable income left on people to spend. Now, the other thing is, I used to point out, I flip flop so many times on Trump. I'm voting for Trump, okay, fine, I'm not voting for Hillary, but I just want to point out, I don't understand how this guy could have been buddy buddy with the Clintons for like decades. If you so much, we'll find out on the next debate what the real deal is. Anyway, but I think the election even itself is another damn psych-op. Like the major media is a psych-op, the elections are a psych-op. Whatever false flag freaking disaster that happens in I don't know, something happens in a city someplace, something happens in a country someplace, something happens in the world someplace, everybody's like, hey. Actually, this is going to be our new economy: Freak Street Trade and Export. We're getting rid of the freaking TPP. We're having a hippies takeover, and we're going to be trading with the rest of the world on hippie time, which is you take your time. I think that things are going to start slowing down a lot. Actually, even in Manhattan's slowing down. That's where Trump has, his net worth has went up a lot because of where, not just in Manhattan, but also the large commercial real estate. Yeah, it's a fickle business, man. Things change. And you got to stay, adept and basically hang loose. Like old girl, she brings her World Enfield motorcycle in the bar because after she gets drunk and she doesn't want to pay the tab, she hits the kickstart, crashes out the door, and it's a freebie, right? I mean, that's one way of looking at it. So, I don't care, man. I mean, really. I gotta put some other videos out on some other things because I think this type of stuff really, when I give you the stuff on the silver, it's more of a pep talk. But I'm really 100% sure that the bottom's going to fall out of the freaking economy for real, not being a doomsday sayer by sometime after the election, not between now and the election. I know a lot of conspiracy channels are saying, oh, the freaking bottom's going to fall out. World War III is going to happen before the election, all that kind of crap. I'm saying, I don't think so. And I don't even know if this is a prediction or it's one of these BS predictions out there. The red states are supposed to be the Republicans and the blue states are supposed to be the Democrats. I don't know if it's going to work out like that. Actually, it's not that way. But this, when I looked at this map, the only reason I put it up here, I said, this is another reason there should be the Confederacy again. The South should break away from all the freaking money bullshit. Anyway, but it's probably more like this. This is by county. So if you go up in the mountains, where I'm going to be going, not that I'm really a Republican either. I'm a rebel. Actually, I just don't like any politics. I don't like any of these damn politicians at all. So, but the thing is, if we get poorer in this country, don't go freaking concentrating on the damn numbers so much. Because look at old girl here. She could be riding in a Rolls Royce, or she could be looking classy as all hell on a Vespa motorcycle, and still look hot. Because when you look hot, you look hot. That's all there is to it. I look at Hillary, and I don't think she's going to win because she's ugly. I'm telling you right now, it's not if you just she don't like people and she's ugly and she's mean and everything else. So I don't think she's gonna win. If she was like really cool and if she was the same person and she wasn't so, I mean, she was the same body and she was actually nice to people, she'd probably freaking win. But I don't know. That's how that deal's gonna work. But don't go thinking that Big Brother's got us by the cojones all the time because it doesn't. As a matter of fact, this big thing with Obamacare, it's like it's freaking through. I mean, there's only like one insurance company in 5 states that are still offering Obamacare. It's like throw. It failed. So I mean, I don't know how all this other stuff's going to work out either because um, the guys on the top, they're pretty fickle. They kind of move around a lot, and they're constantly changing plans. So, everybody was on the global warming thing. Then around actually back in the 70s, they were talking about man-made pollution was causing global cooling when we had the blizzard of 78, 79, or 77, 78. I mean, these yo-yos on the top don't have everything all figured out. That's one of the things I really got to tell you about with the alternative media, that sometimes the bigger guys, they're always making it sound like all these people got it all figured out and they're working lockstep with a blueprint plan. No way. Now, I want to also talk about this deal a little bit with the election and personalities and stuff. I look at this, sometimes I see this Judge Jeannie Perot one. I don't really pay attention to her because it's like she's hot, but it's like, she tells stuff on whatever these little presentations she puts on. I say, yeah, no shit, I know that. I mean, I know this already, lady. But honestly, the deal is, elections a lot of times are predicated upon personality, looks, and also the height of the candidate. Now, I don't know if that works with male, female, the height of the candidate so much, but if there's amongst two males, the taller candidate usually wins. But also it's looks and presentation and personality versus substance. Now, I think Judge Jeannie Perot has a lot more substance than Hillary Clinton, but in looks department, give you an example, if she was a Democrat, which she wouldn't be, but say she was and she was running, she'd win by a landslide just on her looks. I mean, that's why I'm kind of presenting this here, that everything is a damn psych-op, and that goes along with the markets too. I mean, you can present things like silver's going to the moon, and when it starts going up later, I know I'm going to dump it. I'm going to get land because I'm thinking land is, it can have a well on the land that produces water. It can have trees on the land that produce fuel and building materials. Land can actually grow crops, right? But if the price of land goes down, the price of silver goes up. I'm not going to wait for it to hit the freaking moon. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be the psych-op from the silver cloud that'll be coming up later on, as long as the taxes are cheap on the land. So, that's the deal. So anyway, everything is kind of like imagery, psych-ops, and everything like that. Just like buy this motorcycle. If you had big butt Bertha on a motorcycle, you wouldn't buy it. But hey, that motorcycle looks pretty damn hot. So that's the kind of deal. That's why I say I think Hillary's going to lose, because she's nasty. I think Uma Aberdeen would have a much, 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 much better chance of winning, to tell you the truth. You know that? What she got to do is walk out there. I mean, I don't even think she's that hot, but say if she was out there with a slinky skirt on, she'd probably win. So, but I don't know how much they're going to cheat. But like I'm just telling you, it's like everything is a psych-op, and including all this stuff with the silver and all this kind of stuff. The U.S. dollar is always going to be the medium of exchange in this country. So when you go to freaking, maybe the medium of exchange might change in this country some years from now, but even if the dollar's worth less and less and less and less and has less purchasing power, it's going to mean it's still going to be that you are, what the hell is it? You're still going to be, trading in dollars. You know what I mean? In other words, when you make an exchange, you're going to have to take dollars. That's the medium of exchange. Too bad. Anybody tells you in the future don't take dollars at any cost is crazy, okay? Because that means you got to take dollars at a point in time to buy something else. I'm probably going to be buying land, bricks and sticks and stuff like that. Now, also, I'm going to tell you, if, the corruption in Washington, D.C. is so freaking bad that I'm going to also got to tell you that it makes, remember the sitcom The Dukes of Hazzard with Boss Hogg and Roscoe P. Coltrane and his deputy Enos, whatever his name is. It makes all this stuff look like nothing, you know. Actually, I'd rather have this guy in charge of freaking Washington, D.C. But what I think is going to happen is that the government is actually going to start having problems funding all its commitments. And they're going to have to pick and choose where the hell they're going to have to cut. I think Trump's going to be in office, and he's going to be playing like The Apprentice. Well, we're going to have to cut here, we're going to have to cut there and cut here, because they're not going to have the funding to freaking run the entire government. And, but you know, that's a good thing, because the people that are in government right now, they make, you know, I know Boss Hogg is a fictitious character, but they make the real, you know, if there was a real Boss Hogg, they make him look like nothing. You know what I'm saying? What's in the government, including the Secret Service. I mean, I think they're corrupt and stuff. I mean, how the hell could you actually have that job guarding some of those people? I wouldn't want that job. You got to be kidding me. Anyway, so that's how I look at, you know, what's coming down. You know, the one thing that's actually going to fix things is the government can't sustain itself, and it's going to go good. You know? But the private sector is going to be around. Now, I actually think I'm going to put out a freaking video on this prison breakout, because this has been a hot topic too. This is one of the biggest things I freaking can't stand about what's going on in the United States. More than the politics, more than the corruption, and this is actually, I guess, related to the corruption, and more than anything. And, you know, whether you like Democrats, because you know what? Clintons and Bushes both put all these people in jail. Incarcerated Americans as a percentage of population. As a percentage of population. Went right through the roof. I mean, it looks really radical when you're not saying percentage of population. But back before 1920, there was like a tenth of 1%. Now it's like 8 times higher as a percentage of population. You know, I think this is one of the biggest things that needs to be addressed, and nobody's addressing it. And I'm actually going to address it with the Confederate flag. I know in the prisons there's a lot of blacks in the prisons. I actually think most of the blacks in all these freaking, you know, I mean, I'm not, you know, I mean, I'm not so stupid to think that, you know, everybody that's not black that loves me because I'm white or something. But I also realize a lot of people in there because of stupid drug charges that are nonsense. And that's also part of this psych-op. You know what I mean? They always divert our attention away from things that aren't important. I don't smoke any weed. I never have. Okay? I never have. I don't drink. I don't smoke weed. I don't smoke cigarettes or weed or do any drugs, and don't drink, and don't even drink wine or nothing, right? Don't drink beer. And I'm all for, like, you know, you being able to do what the hell you want. Okay? I mean, honestly. It's not like, it's no problem if, you know, it's all legal and it was like the death sentence, because it wouldn't affect me. But it's like, it does bother me, because I realize that a lot of people get screwed over. But you see, it's all part of the damn psych-op, and that's really the point of this video. Everything is a damn psych-op. As a matter of fact, this stupid election's a psych-op. I'm not 110% sure what Trump's really going to do, or if he really wants to be president. If Hillary gets in, I think she's going to croak, and you're probably going to be looking at whoever the vice president is. But the thing is, I don't think it matter who gets in, the government's going to fall apart. They can't fund themselves. They're done, you know? As a matter of fact, I think Obama, while the military's over there worried about, you know, all the freaking problems that are coming from foreign nations, he's in the White House smoking this stuff and doing cocaine. You know what I mean? Meantime, everybody's in prison over it, right? He's a pile of crap, too. That's why I'm not, you know, I'm like, with this politics crap is stupid. And it's also stupid with the doom and gloomers. It's like, you know, I don't think it's doom and gloom if the freaking government falls apart and goes under. Good. See ya. I don't care. Well, good. It's over. You're done. Actually, you know, some of the things that we actually even have on this channel, like some of the devices that we have, they're electronic devices and stuff for that, you know, can heal disease. And they do. Even Google says it. Even Google's going into that, you know, they're going to phase out prescription drugs eventually and heal the body with frequencies. It could be the Spooky 2 or the freaking Parazapper, right? I mean, you know, what the hell? You know, they should be passing all, they should be like manufacturing these things and giving everybody a rebate so they can buy them, because that would cut down on the cost of medical all across the country, right? You know, they should be passing out potted plants that are like herbs that can help people, right? that you could grow even in your apartment on a balcony or indoors, right? I mean, people let people grow weed in their house, for crying out loud, right? Let them do that. Everything's a psych-op. Everything's like pit this group against that group. The religious are like pitted against the weed stuff, the marijuana stuff, and like you got the banksters pitted against the real metals. And honestly, I'm gonna tell you everything. I realized this too, big time, because I was in the accounting field, and I still got one foot in the accounting field. Before it was like I had one foot, I was in the accounting field and had one foot in the redneck field. Now I'm mainly in the redneck DIY stuff. That's why I'm doing this YouTube, and I got one foot still in the CPA firm, right? But I'm going to tell you, everything is a sales pitch. It's not just in politics, but it's also these banking, investment houses, and all that type of stuff. You got to attract clients. You got to talk nice, and it's always about how well you dress, how well you talk. If you walked in there and you presented them the same information, even twice as good, and you walked in there to clients and you look like a bum, they wouldn't bite. But if you walk in there, you're slim, you're attractive, you're in good shape, you're dressed good, and you're articulate, and the substance of what you said is not that great, they'll bite. That's really what it is. That's why everything actually is a marketing and sales pitch. And even this YouTube, really what powers it, advertising, right? For crying out loud, right? But that's what it is. That's what it is. That's the game. But just remember that everything actually out there is a freaking psych-op, and stick with the nitty-gritty. One of the things I really, 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 really liked about the silver, though, is that it's actual, physical, in your hands stuff. That's the difference. But the other thing is beyond it, and I said this several times before, is it's the only freaking precious metal out there that has bona fide medical uses, like with ionic and colloidal silver and for disinfecting. Actually, Bill Clinton, when he gets in there with the bevy of honeys in the freaking hot tub, they ought to be running all kinds of colloidal silver in there, and he won't have to worry about any problems. Actually, I don't mind Bill Clinton too much. I don't like her. I don't like Bill Clinton's policies, but you could see why I don't like Bill Clinton's policies. Because you see all that incarceration of Americans, that was Nixon, Bush, then Clinton. Then back to Bush, and then Obama. So Obama released maybe a couple hundred of them out of the hundreds of thousands. Yeah, right. Like I said, everything's a big psych-op. So Obama's the freaking lenient guy, right? He had to release 100,000 of them, for crying out loud. I'm really against all this kind of crap, man. I don't know what Trump's going to do, but what? Trump probably more. He'd be more apt to freaking release them. I tell you the truth, but that's a big thing on my part that I think you ought to do, because that's all freaking racket. It's all freaking human slavery, and that's what we got going on today. But the reality situation is, these guys on the top that think they freaking control everything, they don't. They never have. Look at Obamacare. It's freaking failing, man, left and right. And, if people, see, my channel doesn't get around that much. The Parazapper device, I know people say, oh, you're promoting that because you freaking must be working for the guy. I ain't working for the guy. I realize, in a little device that, everything's got limits, there's herbs that do things and stuff. There's natural foods, organic foods. You can get rid of your freaking doctor for most people. You can put out medical out of business, but I personally like this frequency stuff, and actually Google's into it too. There's an aspect of Google that's into it. Maybe that's why they leave my videos alone on this subject, because they're into it too. But frequencies can actually affect, how healthy the body is or how fast the body can repair, and they can also be used to combat disease. I know that's going off on a stretch to tell you that stuff. It's probably risky for me to say that, but let me just say, it's a fact. They've been proving this crap over and over and over again. You can say, where's the double-blind studies? They've been doing it for a long time. It's the reason this stuff is still around, and it's not, even though it's not approved by the FDA, is because people know it works by word of mouth. It wouldn't be in the marketplace if it was all BS. It's been around for freaking, I don't know, now probably about 80 years, since Royal Rife. Now, if you take the spooky plasma device, that thing could probably cure cancer left and right on most cancers, right? I'm surprised my videos aren't getting around on that kind of shit, because that's a big word to say. But I'm going to tell you right now, cure, right? But I'm telling you right now, here we got this big healthcare crisis. You know what the healthcare crisis is? The healthcare crisis is this: Some people expect to make a lot of money off of healthcare, like Governor Rick Scott. That's why he put $75 million of his own money to get elected in Florida, even though his company that he was CEO of, Columbia Hospital Corporation of America, was charged with 14 felonies, and he didn't get charged with anything, right? So, what the problem is, the crisis is, they're afraid of what their freaking future revenue stream is going to be. But so what about their revenue stream, These people that are freaking, they're actually the professional. I mean, way back when, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but way back when, before, the Hemp Stamp Tax Act, I think it was in 1947 when they made the marijuana illegal or whatever it was. I forgot what year that was. All the medicines contained cannabis, all of them. The AMA was totally against making marijuana growth and hemp growth illegal because all their medicines had cannabis in it. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So obviously it worked because they were using it. Then you'd have to say if it wasn't true, then all the doctors from the 1800s all the way up to the mid-1900s are a bunch of liars. And what does that tell you? Well, how could you trust the profession in general then, right? Right? But we do know one thing about silver, and it's been known for hundreds of years, that it's antimicrobial. That alone can make that stuff. That's why I'd never sell all of it. I'd always keep a good 500 ounces, even if I ever sold all the rest of it. I'd always keep a good 500 ounces just because of the medical purposes. But what the hell's the deal? What's the deal? The word never gets out because even though you think it gets out on YouTube, it's really only getting out to a very small fraction of the people out there in America because the major media is still controlling most of the people in America. But everything, like I said, is a big psych-op. It's not only the major media, it's also the bought and sold shills and the alternative media. I put videos out on that before. Pretty much anybody that's a big channel on YouTube is a shill. Eventually I'm going to be a big channel, but it's going to be off of freaking blatant hard work. It's going to be that way all the way. I will be a big channel eventually because it's going to be off of blatant hard work. But I'm giving you accurate information. Now, what I'm saying is about silver, I'm warning you about what's going to happen in the future. The psych-op is going to actually, there's going to be another psych-op that's going to come from the quote-unquote alternative fight the banksters silver community that's going to tell you silver's going to go price to the moon. Don't buy that crap because it's eventually at one tiny fraction of a second, that's what it's going to seem like, it is going to hit almost the moon. But, you're going to have to be lucky as all hell to catch it that way, and it's not going to be a smooth ride up. It's going to go rocky. It's going to be all over the place. And the more they freaking tell you different things about what's going on, the more you're looking at this and you're not focused in on what you need to be doing. Understand? Like, in other words, silver is not the freaking be-all, end-all of the whole entire world. But I also can tell you that all these freaking big institutions, they are coming down. There's major exposure on all the biggest banks. Was it Wells Fargo, J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America with the derivatives? Usually they have roughly, well, it depends. They'll have between under $1 trillion in assets to maybe $2 trillion in assets, with exposure between 30 and 50 something trillion each. So they're like leveraged with, maybe 2%, 50 to 1. When the derivatives markets come down, all these fancy, high-talking, high-salaried yo-yos in Wall Street are going out the window all at once. And the government's not going to be able to bail them out because the derivatives bubble is many times higher than even the entire world economy. Not only is it higher than just the debt that's in the United States, but the 19 something, almost 20 trillion, but it's higher than, several times higher than the entire global economy. So the crap is coming down, okay? But like I said, everything's a psych-op. You get all glued on this crap about what's going to happen. That's why I don't put all these kind of videos out. But I got to tell you, like, in reality, the stuff is coming down. It's not good, but it's going to be mainly not good for people that are hooked into the system, like the government for one, and number two, like the investment bankers and all these medical mafia jackasses on the top that are worried about how do we keep our revenue stream coming in. You know, some of these devices, I like the herbs and stuff for healthcare and stuff, very good, but you got to replenish them. So you got to, I like the electronic methods because they're pretty permanent. Like in other words, you buy a device, it lasts many years. You can treat maybe a number of people. I'm saying you're not supposed to really say it. It's supposed to be for medical purposes, but whatever. Everybody's been doing it. I mean, people have been getting great results with like the Parazapper and the Spooky 2. I mean, everybody that's a survivalist should be buying something like that once, even if it's the one for $100 or something, right? They should, my opinion. Because what do you do if you're sick, right? Could it help you? Possibly. That's another reason everybody ought to have silver. Obviously, 99% of the people in the United States, even if they knew about silver being antimicrobial, they say they acknowledge it, then they just go off onto something else, and they go buy, they go into McDonald's and they spend $20 on a, Mickey D meal versus buying a silver coin or some silver that make a lot of silver. Now, they don't do it, right? Everybody gets diverted away from the truth. And the truthers that are large channels are also people that are gatekeepers and shills. 99% of them. I know some people disagree with me on that, but 90% of the truthers that are big on YouTube are gatekeepers and shills. Big time. This kid is not. Now, sometimes I get fooled, but you know what? I don't get fooled too long. That's for sure. And actually, I got to put stuff out when, I got to strike when the iron's hot, because if I see something I think is important, I'll put it out. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but I got to get it out there. That's the thing. It's not that I'm getting out there for attention, but I think it might be important, and it might be, pertinent to what's going on right now. But, I also backtrack a lot and try to stay in the practical world, because psych-ops and sales pitches and marketing, they're pretty much interchangeable words in a lot of ways. You probably see a video on this, or maybe you're not gonna see, what do you call it, an ad instead of to say video. You probably see an ad on this or something. I don't know if you will, but you see that's the whole game. That's the whole game. What makes something sell? What keeps the people in control? What makes people fight each other? Because you set up opposing teams, right? So I'm trying to get through cut through the muck, and just tell you again that the big ivory towers in Wall Street, they're coming down. It's a freaking psych-op in itself. The reason they even use these big buildings and banks with all the marble and all the glass and the security guard and all that kind of crap, they don't have much cash in there, for crying out loud. The big vault and all that kind of crap, they don't have much cash in there. It's all to give you a feeling of security that your money's safe. It's all electronic, for crying out loud. The big building is just there as a public image. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's a symbology. It make you think your money's safe. That's just why, they, like I said, if you had Jamie Dimon walking around in tennis shoes and, a T-shirt, and he had a beer in his hand, and he said the same thing, and he presented it to a bunch of investors, they wouldn't bite. But hey, man, you got to freaking play the game, right? You got to play the game. I know about this because I was playing the game for a long time. Okay? But, my game was, I like getting stuff done that's bricks and sticks. That's always why I always like construction, accounting, not accounting numbers and numbers crap. More like Trump does, and I kind of like Trump for that reason, because he's actually built stuff. And, I don't know, Trump might be all right. He might be. I don't know. Who the hell knows? But I'm not 110% sure, to tell you the truth. Not 110% sure. Actually, I'd rather see Boss Hogg in a freaking White House than all these guys. And that's saying a lot. Because Boss Hogg, Boss Hogg is pretty corrupt, right? And, but at least you know what kind of corruption you're dealing with. It's good old boy corruption. It's not so bad as what you got going on in Washington, D.C. with the Hildebeest and stuff. So, anyway, just want to tell you that they don't have all their stuff together. The people on the top, they don't. They never do. Obamacare's failing. Again, the big banks are failing. They're good. You're about ready to go under, man. Bill Gross is talking about that stuff, too. That's another thing. Meantime, many of the millennials are spending their money on crap. You know what I mean? If they could take that money and spend it on better things than what the hell they're doing normally, dining out and entertainment. Just a lot less on home improvement and groceries and whatever the hell else and stuff. It's like entertainment and uh, driving and things like that and travel is a little hotter with especially entertainment. You see what I'm talking about? That's another psych op in itself, entertainment, right? That's one reason probably the millennials are going to have a problem. You know, actually, rather than spend money on entertainment, should give to an organization that is trying to get medicinal marijuana and industrial hemp grown in this country. I think this plant is actually one of the things that's actually. I think agriculture is going to save the USA, and this plant alone could freaking do it. I'm not just telling you that because you might want to hear that. I really do. I realize Rockefeller, DuPont, and Hearst was all against this. Randolph Hearst was all against this because it was threatening their rackets. And now they're using it as a big excuse with other corollary drugs of it to incarcerate people over bullshit. Well, the way I look at it, if you want to do drugs, you want to screw yourself up, that's your problem. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you to go do a lot of drugs. But if you smoked a little weed every day, it ain't going to really kill you, right? You know what I mean? But a doctor probably will with his freaking funny meds and stuff like that and their prescription drugs. So anyway, keep it real. And, like I said, make sure you got your escape route because, if you live in a big city, you ought to be thinking about getting the hell out of that shit because I don't think you're going to be able to prep in a big city. And, got to find a way out one way or the other, whether it's you got a freaking van or some bullshit and get the hell out because, or, a Royal Enfield motorcycle with a extended range gas tank on it because when things do come down, they're going to play the psych-ops, they're going to play the games, the people against the government can't pay, one group against another. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit, man. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. And it's like I don't want to put anybody down in the dumps on anything. At the same time, I got to keep warning people about this kind of crap and keep it at a kind of like a happy medium. But again, Bill Gross is warning us about the freaking banks are all a big casino. They are a big casino, man. They're playing games, man. They're going to crap. The derivatives market is going to kill the biggest banks, and the government can't bail them out this time. They're through. If you look back at what happened with Hank Paulson, he was shitting bricks, to put it bluntly, before when they didn't go for past the TAR package right away the first time around. This next time, they ain't going to have the money to do it. It's done. It's cooked. It's freaking through. That's why I almost kind of think when Trump, I think he's going to win, and he's going to say his thing's going to be make America great again, and it's going to fall apart during his administration. Not due to him, but due to it's been set in stone that it's going to happen. We're already, I think, no matter who wins, it's going to fall apart in 2017. Probably maybe even 2 months into the administration. Maybe even right after they get elected, it's going to start coming down. I think Trump's going to win, but you got to stay with what's real, and that's it. And enough on that kind of stuff. And again, Obamacare's failing. Don't go be thinking that because they got the TPP, they're going to win out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I told you before, cottage industry is something else you got to do. Cottage industry is below the radar. You got the Freak Street Trade and Export Center. If you got your Freak Street Trade and Export Center in your house, and you're working on Freak Street Trade and Export, no matter what the hell it is, or you're adding value to something that was, you bought and you put designs on it or whatever the hell it is, hey, there you go, right? There you go. You're making some money, right? And that's what you got to do. Don't be too worried about. It's like the guy. I went along on this, but I'm gonna just give you a little more story. It's like the guy that was the old guy. He was by the railroad tracks and he had a hot dog stand. And listen to this. It's not bad. I mean, it's just gives you the idea because this is why I don't like the alternative media a lot. The big guys, they're freaking fear mongers. There was an old guy. He had a freaking hot dog stand on the railroad tracks, and it was by the train station, right? So every time the train would stop, and it was people would get off the train or workers and stuff that would get off the train, and they would buy hot dogs. And he's like, he had some money, so he sent his son off to college in the big city to learn, get a degree. So the son comes back from college with a degree, and he goes, Dad, don't you realize there's a depression going? See, the dad was like thinking, oh man, my expanded business is going. He's out there every day. Go buy your hot dogs. He's buying more buns. He's buying more ovens. He's expanding his business. He's freaking adding a little more room to put more tables out there for people to eat hot dogs. And the son comes back from college. He's educated. And he says, look at the papers. Look, what are you doing? Why are you expanding? Why are you freaking adding more hot dogs and stands and seats for the people to eat hot dogs? Well, there's a depression going on. Look at the paper. Look at the paper. And he convinces the father that there's a depression going on. So the father goes, you're right. There is a depression going on. I should stop trying to expand. And he stopped going out there and saying, hey, get your hot dogs. He stopped trying to sell. And guess what happened? It became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah, he goes, yeah, I guess my son was right. Guess what happened? Yeah, look, my business is going down. He was right. He was right all along. See, that's the alternative media right there. They got a game going on, too. All right? So, no matter what the hell you got going, whether you got the Freak Street Trade and Export Center that is not regulated by the TPP, it's not regulated by NAFTA, and you're changing, I don't know, kiwi fruit for freaking, handbags with designs on it, say you're in Australia. What the hell, right? You're making some kind of money, and I don't know if they can tax kiwi fruit, right? That's something else. So anyway, over and out. That's just a pep talk for you guys and girls out there, and I'm keeping things real, and whatever. There you go. Over and out.